Did you know that drinking alcohol can raise your risk of developing dementia? I was reading recently that Bruce Willis had been diagnosed with dementia, and I thought it was a good time to kind of make a video on this topic. Now, I'm in no way suggesting that Bruce Willis's condition is connected to alcohol. When something like this happens, or when a high-profile personality gets something like this, it's an opportunity to put the spotlight onto the subject itself, right? And how physically, mentally devastating this can be, right? And I think the best way of doing this is by looking at some studies that support the link between alcohol consumption and the collapse in brain function. Now, from a personal perspective, this is something that I've always been afraid of, right? Especially from the alcohol perspective, that it would damage my brain. You know, I value thinking. I love getting lost in a great story. I love being challenged by different ideas. Look, there's no guarantees in life, right? But, you know, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that drinking alcohol can raise the risk of developing dementia. There are plenty of studies that point to alcohol consumption causing damage to the brain and increasing the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. And I want to give you a few examples. I'll leave some links in the description below for studies that highlight these things, so have a look at that. A 2018 study published in the British Medical Journal, it found that people who drank more than 14 units of alcohol per week had a 47% increased risk of developing dementia compared to those who drank less than 1 unit of alcohol per week. Now, 1 unit of alcohol is defined as a small glass of wine or a half a pint of beer. Now, one of the main strengths of this particular study was that the amount of people that took part was 9,000, and the length of time over which the study was conducted was about 23 years, or just over 23 years. Another study, which was published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Research and Therapy, I believe it was in 2014, that followed over 5,000 middle-aged participants for an average of 10 years, and it looked directly at what they drank and how it affected their thinking. And it concluded that heavy alcohol consumption in middle age was associated with an increased risk of cognitive decline and dementia later in life, right? So heavy drinking again was defined as consuming more than 14 drinks per week for women and more than 21 drinks a week for men. And the unique thing I think about this study was that it focused on middle-aged adults, right? Which I think is important, right? For most people who are watching this, you know, the vast majority are middle-aged. And there was also a 2018 meta-analysis published by The Lancet. And this was kind of a comprehensive review of 140 studies which looked at the relationship between alcohol consumption and cognitive function. And again, the study found that moderate alcohol consumption was associated with an increased risk of dementia. The risk increased the more alcohol that was consumed. Again, moderate drinking was defined as up to 14 drinks a week for women and 21 drinks a week for men. And one of the main strengths of this particular study was its large sample size, and it just provided a summary of existing evidence on the topic. So the study was also able to examine the potential dose-response relationship between alcohol consumption and dementia risk. So the more people drank, the more risk they were put at. Now, each of these studies I've mentioned, they have their flaws, right? I think the data from all these studies that are self-reported is or can be unreliable, right? There's a possibility of confounding factors as well. So common sense, though, tells you that when you continuously batter your brain with a toxin like alcohol, there are going to be consequences eventually, right? You know, so from a personal perspective, I didn't notice the effects of alcohol while I was drinking, you know, and I suppose I was hiding from them from a certain perspective, right? But also the effects creep up on you over the time, right? I sure noticed the effects when I stopped drinking alcohol. That's one of the points. Now, overall, these studies directly point to alcohol consumption increasing the risk of developing dementia, particularly when large amounts of alcohol are consumed or over a long period of time. And like I said, it makes sense, right? Your brain gets fried over and over again, and that's not going to have an impact on your mind and on your mentality, and it's not going to have an impact on you over the long term. It just doesn't make sense. So alcohol can harm your brain by affecting how the cells communicate with each other. It can cause your brain to shrink in important areas, like the part of your brain that helps you to remember things. And alcohol can also make your brain become inflamed and damaged over time, which can really hurt your thinking and your memory. So if you drink too much alcohol in the long term, you can hurt your brain for permanently, right, for good, and even increase your risk of getting dementia when you're older. So anyway, that's my take on it. As always with these videos, my intention is not to scare you, but to encourage you, right? Encourage you to take a look at what you're doing to your body, to your mind, and to your life. Now, if you haven't taken our free beginner's guide to stopping drinking alcohol yet, it's called the Beginner's Guide to Getting Sober. It's in the description down below. It's free, as I said, at the moment. So take a look at that. All right, take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you soon. Onwards and upwards. Bye now.